Okay. Oh, good afternoon. It's Lorraine here at a wellness gathering. And today we're doing the ownership on the principles of core alignment. And today we're going to focus on W for wisdom. Our host, Lynne Hilderman, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, so we'll be focusing on the W, and we're going to be looking at wisdom, which is a very, very, very large subject. So, oh, there's Hattie Jane. She's coming in too.
Hi, Hattie
Hello,
Jane.
Hello. So we are going to, well, we always start with a question, and then question anyone, anywhere, anytime can answer. So you say your name, say where you are, and the question for today is, what is something you like to do for fun with your extra time? So I'm Lynne, and I am in Calgary, Alberta, and something I like to do for fun with my extra time. Well, when I have extra time, I kind of like to just do something that makes me feel good. And that can be a variety of things. But sometimes because I'm working from home now, I really like to either get outside for a walk or even go for a drive if I have an errand. I just like to kind of get outside and be in nature. And I'll just go and walk, like, for no apparent reason. So that's something I like to do with my extra time for fun. So Madeline.
Hi, I'm Madeline. I'm in Calgary, Alberta, and happily, almost all of my extra time is available to me. And so everything I focus on is, I'm able to enjoy, and mostly for me, but I do enjoy doing for others. I have to confess, when I am given a choice, I would much rather, help somebody out or be there for them or give them, do up some dishes for them. It makes me feel good. So doing for others, that's today I'm feeling that's the making me feel good.
Awesome. That's awesome. Hattie Jane? Yeah, so.
Hi, I'm Hattie Jane Derricott, down in Falls Church, Virginia, Lower 48, and I enjoy getting out and working on my yard. Maybe I should have done something a little bit different today, because I goofed on cutting this tree this way.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
I'm leaning against the wires up there.
Oh, yeah.
Neighbor. Whoops.
Awesome. Welcome. Welcome. Dawn Marie?
I'm Dawn Marie, and I am from Sacramento, California. And what I enjoy doing when I have free time is getting on my bike and riding to the river and just being out in the sun and enjoying the wind, flying and rattling up against my skin, and just listening to music while I'm out there and just letting go. That's what I enjoy when I have free time.
Awesome. Awesome. Olive?
My name's Olive, and I'm in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. When I have free time, I like to go walking. I'm lucky enough to be close to Saskatoon's forestry farm. And it was the area that the university used to experiment with trees that would be hardy in Saskatchewan. So it's full of trees, and it's just for me, a happy place to be.
Awesome. Awesome. Lorraine?
Okay, I'm like you, Madeline. I have a lot of free time. And of course, what I enjoy mostly is sitting in my chair and having a nap and rejuvenating my body.
Yeah.
Awesome. So many things to do with our extra time and our free time, and looking at what we like to do for fun. So I thought that would be kind of a nice segue into looking at wisdom. And I imagine, especially with where we've all been, that there's a lot of wisdom sitting in these 6 little boxes in front of me. And so we're going to look at wisdom, and I'm going to share a little verse that I have been getting great pleasure out of reading from a scripture called the Tao Te Ching. And it's one of the oldest scriptures in the world. I think it's even older than the Bible, actually.
Ooh.
So I'm going to read this verse because I turned to it. I thought of it as a way of, thinking about wisdom. But I also turned to this page thinking of what are we going to talk about for today? So I'm just going to read this verse. So it's verse 54. It's whoever is planted in the Tao will not be rooted up. Whoever embraces the Tao will not slip away. Her name will be held in honor from generation to generation. Let the Tao be present in your life and you will become genuine. Let it be present in your family and your family will flourish. Let it be present in your country and your country will be an example to all countries in the world. Let it be present in the universe and the universe will sing. How do I know this is true? By looking inside myself. So that we're going to look at wisdom. And well, let's all go. I'm going to just put it out to you guys because wisdom is right here. So tell me what your thoughts are on wisdom and how it's been in your life and guided you. So we're just going to go around. I'm going to start with Hattie Jane. Tell us something about you and wisdom.
It's always a work in progress for me. There's so many ways I find out how stupid I've been at times.
Work in progress, eh?
Mhm. Mhm.
Awesome. Madeline?
Wisdom, well, it's of course a huge topic. How it has made me, I think my desire to feel good is the foundation of the wisdom that I have, because through the course of my life, there have been lots of times when I just focused on complaining and being disgruntled and not feeling good. And, I had the choice and I didn't know I had the choice. And I think that piece of wisdom has finally sunk in that I actually do have a choice about it.
Awesome. So that desire to feel good. Awesome. How about you, Dawn Marie? You look like you've got something brewing there.
Yeah. I'm so glad this was chosen today, wisdom. I really start my day with wisdom. I read Proverbs, a book of Proverbs every day for wisdom, so that I can make sure that when I start my day, I'm truly grounded. And to me, the biggest thing is learning to walk in forgiveness. So oftentimes, things happen and we want to be quick, at least for me, I want to be quick to hold on to the dagger. That's something that has been happening to me. But when I start reading Proverbs, there's inevitably something in that day. Like today is the 20th, I'll read Proverbs 20, the whole book. And there's something in there that helps me to kind of get myself back in order, because I know if I'm out of order, I may do something or say something that's not going to be very nice. So it helps me to get refocused and recentered. I love wisdom.
Got it. That's awesome. So forgiveness and then reading every day.
Mhm. Mhm.
Olive? What about
When
yourself?
I was thinking about this topic, the Serenity Prayer came to mind. And I
Mhm.
think as I've become older, that's been kind of a theme, to accept the things that I can do nothing about,
Mhm,
and to act on the things that I can.
mhm.
Wisdom, I think, like Hattie Jane said, wisdom is a work in progress.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, and the wisdom to know the difference of when,
Yes.
right? It's like, oh my gosh, what do I do with this?
Yes.
And then that plays into the forgiveness, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes it's the self-forgiveness.
Mhm.
yes.
Lorraine,
Oh, golly sake, you girls have said everything. Yeah, wisdom, I think, is, and as you know, you grow older, you really collect a lot of information. So you really have to sort out the information, if it's good for what you've received or what you've experienced, and just go with what makes you feel good at the moment. And because you're so full of so much experience and knowledge and things that come to you, and you have to keep it simple and keep it feeling good. And I think that's really part of wisdom as well, as along with everything else that everybody else has said.
and so what is it for you with wisdom?
I think it's just appreciating everything that has come my way, whether it was not, good or bad, but it was just to be able to recognize that I can have, like Madeline said, have a choice of accepting it, and like Olive says, like, let it go. If it's, if I can't change it, let's let it go and do things that I can change.
Mhm.
Lovely. Well, one of the things that I thought about with pondering this subject for today was wisdom through the ages, in the sense of, when I was younger, what was wisdom to me? When I was in my 20s, what was wisdom to me? When I was in my 30s, what was wisdom to me? And I think because, all of us are over 50,
Mhm.
it has different qualities and different aspects to it. So what do you think wisdom was when you were, say, as a before, say, when you were a young mom or a young woman before you were married? What do you think wisdom was then? Madeline?
I recall thinking that not that I was not ever going to be exposed to anything life-threatening, but that things were safe, and the wisdom of being bold and courageous was really strong in me. Like, I just did stuff, like, just drove on crazy adventures and cross-country stuff. And just that boldness. I think that wisdom of being okay. Life was good, and you were okay. That was when I think back, that was prevalent in my thoughts.
So being okay and bold.
Yeah. And courageous.
Got it. Olive, what about you?
I think in my early 20s, I was probably overly confident in my own wisdom. Thought I knew it all. Looking back, I definitely didn't know it all, but I guess part of wisdom is self-confidence.
Confidence.
Not quite as confident maybe now at 67 as I was at 27, but each stage brings a different type of wisdom.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Dawn Marie?
Mhm. Wow. I would have to say, when I was a young mother, I have 2 children, and they were They were really good kids. I never had any problems out of them, although my daughter was a little rebellious when she turned 16 and really challenged me. But for the most part, I I looked back on, some of the things that my mother did and how she raised my sisters and I tried to apply those same principles to raising my children as far as, being a good mother and taking them to church and just trying to, do the right thing and make the right choices for them. But as she got older, she challenged me more. And I think that I really had to even go back to some things that my grandmother taught me with wisdom and how to be a young mother. So I just really look back on the lineage of my mothers, my mother, my grandmother, both of my grandmothers, and just tried to use those principles in being the best mom that I could be. One of my grandmothers raised foster kids, and so she instilled in me the desire to want to help other children that were less fortunate. And so just learning and looking at the examples of the strong women that they were inspired me to become a better mom and do the right thing with raising my children.
Cool. So the wisdom of our mothers and grandmothers.
And grandmothers, right.
And great-great-grandmothers.
Mhm.
What about you, Hattie Jane? You still there?
Hi, my neighbors popped over from across the street, so I'm sorry,
Okay.
I'll have them badly.
Okay, cool. Okay. Lorraine?
Okay, yeah, what was wisdom to me when I was a young mother or going into motherhood? I don't know. I think it was, to me, it was an uncertain time, a scary time, because I was taking a step into a different stage in my life. I mean, prior to that, I was just doing what I felt like doing and just doing it. And then I said, well, I'm making this building a relationship to have children and to have a family. And it gave me a sense of uncertainty. And I think as, I reflect back that the things I always had the back of my mind, what my mother had, because she raised 7 children and I only raised 3. But it was some of her sayings and some of her mannerisms that sort of resonated with me in how to be a mother. And although I didn't have the privilege of knowing my grandparents or grandmothers, but I certainly did a lot of reflecting of what my mother had taught me and had said, and live and let live, and don't be ashamed of what you're doing, and just get on with life, and just go with the flow with what the experiences that motherhood brought to you. And believe me, it's all brand new, isn't it?
It keeps going. Yeah, when I think back to that time in my life, well, in my early 20s, before I decided that I wanted to have children, I always knew I wanted to have children, but I was somewhat bold. I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to get a hold of my body. I wanted to learn how to move my body and become more agile and fit. And so I bit off a lot of challenges to see if I could do them, and physically doing triathlons and Ironman but I mean, that prepared me really for having children. and just putting, knowing that I can't control the environment, but I can control how I am in the environment. And on the day of a race, the water was what it was, the bike ride was what it was. I had to be prepared for all the elements, no matter what it was. And so when I think of the wisdom gleaned from that time in life, it really, it's like in this verse, it said I had to look inside myself to know where that direct resourcefulness came from. And so it's interesting to look at the thread of wisdom through the ages, and as living that time in life, it's how do you see it? What similarities do you see from that time to how it is now for you? Olive?
I'm not as confident with my decisions in my 60s as I was in my 20s. I rethink my decisions, and just I wish I had that confidence back again. That's the difference I see.
Got it. Got it. Hattie Jane?
I
Did you
see
wanna share?
I'm starting to have less arrogance
Mhm.
about knowing things because I found out I didn't know as much as I did. I still don't. So maybe I'm starting to consider wisdom.
Got it. Got it. That's awesome. Dawn Marie?
I'll be on the way to plug in, so I'll be moving around.
Okay. Could you repeat the question?
Well, with looking at, say how it was when you were younger and how it is now, what are, where do you see, like, how do you see wisdom as that thread through everything? Like, what's the, is there, how is it different? How is it the same?
Well, it's different because it's just me, and I only have to make the choices for me to make the right choice or the wrong choice. Wow. I would have to say that confidence has a lot to do with it too. I'm feeling not as confident today as I was back then, and stepping out and doing things that might be enjoyable to the point of inviting others into my space. I tend to want to be solitude. And so when I think about hanging out with other people, it's like, especially with this pandemic still kind of lingering over us, it's like, do I want to put myself into that place with other people? Am I going to be okay? Do I need to wear a mask? All of these things are spinning in my head right now. And so I think just being somewhat more relaxed with getting back out and being amongst people is something that I'm really having to use wisdom about. I mean, I was with some friends yesterday, and they were in town from Texas, and they wanted me to go hang out with them with some other relatives. But I just had a COVID test on Friday for a procedure that I'm going to be having. And I'm like, I know I'm okay, but if I go and hang out with them, am I going to be okay by the time I get ready to have this procedure? So, having that confidence to know when and how to move and what to do and when not to do it.
Got it. Got it. Well, and that sounds like the wisdom is coming through in the sense to make the best decision.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Madeline? Yeah.
I
Madeline?
think that I can sort of feel that portion of what we've been talking about stronger. I think it is more caution when in youth there's very little caution. It's just wild abandonment that you go ahead and do something without so much thought. And so the wisdom of having more understanding of the repercussions of things, I think, is where we not necessarily holds us back, but where we take more consideration. And not that that's always the case, but I think that's pretty strong, that we see a bigger picture and the repercussions of our actions influence us strongly, more strongly, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Lorraine?
Well, I'm thinking of this and listening to what everybody's saying. It's quite true. I think I have more, I see wisdom as being better for me now than I did back then, because maybe just life experience. but at the same token, my caution is still there, whether it's, to move forward or decide to do something. So there's still, it's still, I think it's really limiting me to really put forth. And so, yeah, it's just I don't know, it's just something that you have to really think about. And you don't go around thinking about wisdom.
Mm-mm.
You think of wisdom, people going to university and learning a lot from the books and being smart and having a high IQ, but there's that personal wisdom within yourself that you don't really acknowledge really on a daily basis. So
Yes. Well, so it's very thought provoking to even just talk about wisdom and to look at it through the ages, and I think with experience, we get wiser.
Hopefully,
Often we learn from our mistakes.
hopefully.
Hopefully. That's right. And there is that thread. I mean, even as a young person, they might be more bold and courageous and self-confident, and they might
Ignorant.
lean in and look at their, where their mothers have come from, or lean back into where their ancestors have brought them. But then there's that sort of, that call to be, there's always that call to be better, or to be,
To grow.
more, to grow. Exactly. And I think to me, that's wisdom. Wisdom is always calling me outward. It's always calling me to be better and to know more, or to, that's why I like reading like scriptures of some sort, because it calls me to a higher
Mhm.
possibility. So a very brief discussion on wisdom. So
Thank
what
you.
will you take with you from this conversation that will support you until we talk again? Madeline?
What I will take with me from this conversation that will support me until we talk again is, well, how wonderful it is to reflect on things like wisdom. It has made me think in other terms, in terms of other aspects of where wisdom, like the whole family, the whole mother generational aspects, and I'll think on that. I'll leave this discussion and think on it and really feel into where that has influenced me. So it makes you think. I love it.
Awesome. Patty Jane, what will you take with you that'll support you until we talk again?
It feels good to talk about something that seems so important in the life cycle,
Mhm.
but it's so nebulous. And it feels good to talk about it. To see, what do I think? Well, if I talk to somebody else about it, maybe I might be aware. Thank you.
Don
We
Marie?
talk to ourselves all the time, but we don't always listen.
Right. So what I will take away with me until we meet again is, even though we're so far away from one another, we all have some very similarities in our lives. And to know that, being around like-minded people gives me hope and encouragement to know that, this too shall pass, and everything has a reason for happening. And you just kind of, glean from one another. There's going to be some amazing things that will come out of it. So I'm going to take all of that, what all of you said today, with me during the rest of the week.
Awesome. Olive?
What I will take with me from today that will carry me through to our next meeting is that wisdom is a work in progress.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Indeed.
Lorraine?
What I will take away from until we talk again from this conversation. Uh, yes, it definitely is the awareness of that we have this opportunity to have a discussion on wisdom and zeroing in on what it really means in ourselves, and it gives you strength to appreciate what we do have.
Mhm.
Well, what I will take away from this conversation, yeah, is, it's interesting because my daughter and her girlfriend are heading across the country in a van. And they stopped here for breakfast, and they're so full of life, and they're very bold, and they're very vivacious, and have very large, they're in their early 20s. They're ready to live, bring their creative juices forward. But just the simple wisdom of, let's just look at a map. Do you know where you're going? So
Yes.
anyways, I think it reminds me that there's this wisdom in, she said to me last week or the week before, she said, I really value your and Dad's opinion. So even though I'm kind of pushing it, I do like to know what you think. I may not listen, but anyway, so that's sort of the thread that I take from this conversation, is there's so much from any age along the way to glean that thread of wisdom. And I know they'll be okay, because we didn't have cell phones or any way to check in when I was that age. You just went and did it, and we were okay. And I mean, you can speak to that, Lorraine, right? Going to Europe in the 60s, right? So it's like, it's just different times, and but it's the same thread. So I kind of take away that from today. So what will you take with you from this conversation that will support you for the rest of your life, Dawn Marie?
I like that. Wisdom is a work in progress. It doesn't matter how old we get, we're still going to need to rely on wisdom to help us to be and do the things that we need to do. So I think I'm gonna take that from you, Madeline, or I'm sorry, I don't remember your name.
Olive.
Olive, yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Patty Jane?
I think that it's, no matter what age we're at, there are always corners we haven't opened up yet. And it's really fun.
Awesome. It is indeed. The chambers of the heart are vast and many.
Mhm.
Thank goodness.
Madeline?
I think what I will take with me for the rest of my life, while the focusing on wisdom opens up my thought process more easily, that definitely feels lighter. The wisdom and intuition, I think the whole understanding ourselves and tapping into our intuition allows more wisdom, and that connection is very important for us to acknowledge. And I think that has come through in all the discussion, all the comments. So that's what I'll take with me.
Olive?
What I will take to support me for the rest of my life is that wisdom comes mostly from the people around me. I guess some wisdom comes from within, but I think most wisdom comes from people around.
Lorraine?
Yes, what I'll take away from that will support me for the rest of my life is the fact that it's very important to acknowledge that it is a work in progress, and it's quite enjoyable when you really think about it. Although today I was sort of thinking, well, wasn't so much wisdom, but it can be a lot of fun and enjoyment, and really show appreciation for it.
Well, what I will take with me that'll support me for the rest of my life is how taking a very profound subject in life and just taking a half an hour, okay, 40 minutes to really look at the brilliance of our sharing a concept. And that whole thing, it comes from within and it comes from without. And so I kind of take away such precious gems that will be supportive and this work in progress, and that having these conversations are a lot of fun. And I just think we need more of that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Hear, hear.
awesome. Well, we'll see you all next week.
Yes,
Okay.
and we'll be doing and for nurturing. So
Mhm.
I'll have the video out, and we'll see you next week.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Great, ladies, take
Okay.
Have a
care.
nice week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Stop the video.